Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Caskey. Welcome once again to Weekly Musings, and here it is, I think, July the 5th. So that means yesterday, this is July 6th. The 5th was yesterday, and Friday was the 4th of July. You know, time flies whether you're having fun or not. Well, every week we put these up at 1:05 on Sunday afternoon. They're fresh, they're new. We leave them up for a week, and we put another one up the following week. And they're just little messages, motivational, inspirational things that help you maybe get through another day, help you get through another week, maybe help you with your kids, maybe your relationships, maybe on the job, whatever it is. You know what? I don't have all the answers, but I've lived a good life, and I've rubbed shoulders with a lot of good people, and I've been exposed to some of the best training, whether it was on the church side or the sales side or network marketing side. My goodness, I have been exposed to some excellent training and excellent trainers over the years. And so I started years ago taking this training journal, and when somebody'd say something I thought was noteworthy, I'd write it down. And that's how I got these 10 steps to success by Rick Pitino. And we're in the 5th one here, and I talked about this last week. If you want to be successful, you need to master the art of communications. Look up a second in case you were writing a note. Look at me. How many ears do you have? 2. How many tongues do you have? 1. You should listen at least twice as much as you talk. Now, I've mastered memory over the years, and you've seen me do this in presentations where I memorize people's names in the room. And people say, wow, how do you do that? Well, it starts by when somebody introduces themselves to you and they say, hi, my name is, and you listen to what they said. Most people are in such a hurry to impress that person with, my name is, and I do this, and no. You can remember people's names if you just listen. And if they're not from, English type names like Smith and Jones and Caskey, that's Irish, by the way, but maybe they're from Asia, or maybe they're from India or something that you just don't hear it every day. You know what I do? If somebody like that introduces themselves to me, I'll stop right there. Say that again. Give me your name again. And they'll say it again. I say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to write that down. They write it down, and then I spell it out phonetically, and I guarantee you next time I see that person, I will remember that name. Good communication. If you're going to master the art of communication, it starts with listening. And it starts with listening when people give you their name for the first time, and you hang on to it and remember it. Learn to listen. Here's another one. Avoid being right all the time. Avoid being right. You can't be right all the time. So if you want to master the art of communication, years ago, I'll bet you 40, maybe 45 years ago, I learned this lesson right here. And here it is. The sure sign of somebody growing up is when they are able to say, I'm responsible. I'm responsible for my actions, my words, what I do, how I do it. If it's, Schuller said this years ago, Robert Schuller, he said, if it's going to be, it's up to me. Now we understand it's up to God, but if it's going to be, it's up to me to do the right thing, to listen to people, and be a good communicator. And that comes back to being able to say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. I'm sorry. I was wrong. And try and make it right. As far as your kids go, you're not always, see, I was raised in an era when the parents said, do something, and if you're really stupid, you'd ask why. That only happened one time in my growing up years. But if you ask why in the old days, the parents would say, because I said so. Well, that doesn't count. If you tell your kids to do something, you need to explain how they are to do it, like making your bed, which we talked about last week. And if you make a mistake with your kids, Own up to them. Set them down and own up to it. Set them down and say, hey, I was wrong. I misjudged you. I spoke out of turn. I used the wrong tone of voice. I lost my temper. Whatever. It may happen once in the next 10 or 15 years. Learn to say, I was wrong and I'm responsible. In today's world, everybody, not everybody, but so often I hear this as adults, they blame their bad behavior on the fact that they were abused as a child. Well, I'm sorry you were abused, but life goes on. You can't continually blame your childhood years for bad conduct in your adult years. It doesn't work that way. So, master the art of communication, avoid being right all the time. And then here's another one along that same note. Don't burn bridges. Now, there have been a couple of bridges I've burned over the years, and I'm glad I did. But for the most part, when things happen in your life that go against the grain, go against the way you think they should, move on, but don't burn that bridge. One time years ago, and it was actually when I went through a divorce and left the full-time ministry and had this young man working for me, and boy, he turned on me in a New York minute like a bunch of people did. And then he started running his mouth, and I faced him one day and I said, I'll tell you what, friend, be careful who you step on the way up, because you're going to pass them on the way back down. Think about that. Learn the art of communication. Learn to treat people the way you would like to be treated. Do unto others before they have a chance to do it unto you. No, that's wrong. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's what the Bible says. So the art of communication is treating people with respect. Years ago in my church, I just thought of this. I got to pass it on to you. I was young and dumb, and I was impatient. I've got rid of all of those things. But anyway, I used to be real impatient in dealing with people, and I had this couple in my church. I'll never forget him. And he stammered really bad. And this lady, I'll never forget, they'd come into my office and they'd sit there, and she'd sit here just like this, and she would let him finish the sentence, and I'm sitting here. I could finish the sentence for him because of this thing in his life, and it's just something that he had. He stammered. He's very bright. He was an absolute genius with plants and flowers and those kind of things, but he just couldn't get the words out sometimes. She never helped him. She just sat there with a sweet smile on her face. And you know, I learned so much from that experience. The art of communication is don't get impatient. If somebody's trying to finish a sentence, let them finish that sentence before you expound on what's so great that you have to say. The art of communication is listening. And then, here's one more thing. I'm about done with this one. And that is, when you're talking to people, look them in the eye. You ever see anybody, they can't look you in the eye, and so they look at this ear and you want to just slap them? Look people in the eye when you're talking to them. That's effective communication. And so just remember those things. Learn to listen. Avoid being right all the time. Don't burn bridges. And number 6 is learn from role models. When I started this series 4 weeks ago on the 10 Steps to Success by Rick Pitino, I started out talking about the role models that I've had in my life. Last month was Father's Day, and every time around Father's Day, I think of my dad, who died in 1987. He was my best friend. My granddad and my dad taught me how to work, taught me your word is your bond, taught me effective communication, taught me to set realistic and demanding goals. Just about everything I do in my life, I was taught by my dad and my granddad. Those were the ultimate role models in my life. I had a guy years ago when I was a young teenager, and he was a builder. He built garages and rooms and remodeled houses and all. His name was James Madison. And as a young kid, he taught me everything I know about finishing concrete, framing walls, hanging drywall, finishing drywall. He was so patient with me. He was one of those role models that I still remember this very day, 55, 60 years later. Well, we'll take up there next week. Learn from role models. Hope these are a help and a blessing to you. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. Bye.